I feel like a different woman on this podcast. Like, I actually got done up. I usually look like I just rolled out of bed. I'm like, wow, you have a new co-host today.
When the hair is down and it's done, especially since we've transitioned to virtual, like we really don't get ready at all. When we were in the studio, I feel like we used to like do a full beat because we had like production cameras, like, and the lighting, and so it just came with the territory. Yeah,
for sure. Well, and it was just like, I don't know, it's just like something to, you're not gonna go there and not get ready, you know.
Yeah, we also were filming 2 episodes at a time, so it wasn't like, oh, I could just look like shit for this one episode. It's like, no, you're actually gonna look like shit for 2 episodes.
You're committing to that one. Yeah, exactly.
Although it's shocking that we're both like done up right now, or quote unquote done up. Like I like do my everyday makeup, which still isn't much, but it's 10:18 a.m. on Saturday morning. I love giving people the details of like when we're recording, because I like hearing it when I'm listening to podcasts, but this is not our usual recording time.
No, it is not. But I honestly, like, I kind of like it. I'm not really a morning person, so we were supposed to do 9, and then Carly pushed to 10 late last night, and I was like, yes, you just made my night. Probably because I was super tired on Friday morning when I got up for work, so I was like, I really just want to sleep in. But yeah, I kind of like it. It's way better than nighttime. I feel like I'm more alive.
I agree. And like the jury's still out. We haven't recorded this episode yet, but I am a morning person, like through and through. I was even telling my manager this the other day. I'm like, I'm not an afternoon, like, brain kind of gal. I'm just like brain. Just brain. If you need a brain after 2 p.m., it's not mine. I'm like, I jump out of bed with motivation to like get shit done. And so like yesterday I had a lot of work to do, and I like logged on at 7:30 and like got a lot done till like 9 a.m. Mm-hmm. But then like 2 p.m. hit, and like I always just slump. So like I know that about myself. Like I think my neurons just fire a little bit better.
Yeah, in the morning.
That's exactly. Fair. Do you want to get into things?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a topic that like you've been wanting to talk about for a long time, but it was kind of like top of mind for both of us because of our Only Human moments recently.
Yeah, I feel like this is something I've always talked about and been super passionate about, and it's very like multi-layered, right? Like today we're going to be talking about food noise, food freedom, my journey with food, and my relationship with my body. We've already done an episode in season 1 on body image, but I really do see this as completely separate because food's like a critical part. And I think especially in today's day and age, it's like very much at the forefront, especially on TikTok with like the what I eat in a days. And there's just so much room for comparison, which we'll get into. But I've actually never really heard you talk much about it. So when that was your Only Human moment last week, and we'll kind of like recap that for anybody that might have missed it. Like I was like, okay, we actually do need to talk about this because I think it's something that affects, you know, women predominantly, but everybody. And so I think people will really resonate with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I do think that body image and talking about food relationships are, while they're very intertwined, they're very separate. Mm-hmm. And I think that you don't always have to have a problem with both, if that makes sense. So yeah, last week my Only Human moment was, well, you had like a similar Only Human moment, but my Only Human moment was last weekend. It was Easter weekend. I was working both days, Saturday and Sunday, 12 hours. At the hospital. And so people always like bring in food on the holidays. And so one of my good friends, Maggie, that I work with, brought in these beautiful donuts. And like donuts are one of my favorite foods. And they weren't just like Dunkin' Donuts. They were like good bakery donuts. And they were all like different flavors, whatever. So she brought in donuts and everyone was like eating donuts. And I was like, I'm good. I'm going to pass. Like I've been trying to be better about what I'm eating. And like, I just really don't need it. I brought all my food for the day. So I was like, okay, I feel great about that. And then like not even an hour later, somebody got bagels from like a really good bakery. And I was like, oh my God, I would love a bagel with cream cheese. And I like contemplated it for a couple minutes. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a bagel. And I did. And I was so happy about it. But it was just like that inner dialogue of like, do I need it? Is this going to make me spiral because I'm such an all or nothing person? It's like I eat those things or I don't eat those things. And it's hard. Like the lines get very blurred. And then it's like, I feel like I spiral because then it's like, oh, well, you had it yesterday, so it's like fine for you to have it today. So that was just like a little bit of a battle, but I came out of it and I was like, I'm so glad that I had the bagel. It was delicious and like I can treat myself every once in a while.
Yeah, I love that. And there's so much in what you just said that like we'll definitely unpack, especially like the all or nothing mindset, because that's one that I fell victim to for a really, really long time. So like we're definitely going to touch on that. But I'm also happy to hear like you speak a little bit about that inner dialogue, because that was one of my main questions, right? And there's this concept of food noise, which we'll define in a second. But like, I was so curious, like that push and pull that was going on internally in your brain when you were weighing the options when the donuts came and were presented to you, and you thought about it, and then you passed. And then an hour later, the bagels came, and then you thought about it, you decided to accept, you ate it, and it sounds like you felt happy. But like, was there any part of you that felt like you were maybe like giving in to the craving, or any part of you that felt guilty, or was it really like a positive through and through that you were like, no, actually I can have this and move on with my day?
It's so funny just listening to you like say that like you were thinking about this and then this. I'm just like, this sounds like so ridiculous that it's even a conversation, because it just sounds so like, I don't want to say first world problems, but just like, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. It's like, have the donut or don't have the donut. Like, it's not that deep, but it really is. It's so complex. And especially with that inner dialogue, I think sometimes this is hard, because like part of me, when I say that I was like really happy that I had the bagel because it was like delicious and I was like, I can treat myself, like I think part of that happiness came from a place of like, I'm going to feel this so that I don't feel the guilt instead. And like that guilt still is there, but I'm just like, I'm choosing this one instead. And whether that's like a good thing because it's an active choice, or it's like masking like the feelings that I do have, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, when the donuts came, it was like an easier decision for me, because that's like very far off from like what I'm trying to eat. So like having a donut would just feel very like reckless kind of, especially since like if I like didn't have, I like bring breakfast, lunch, dinner and like snacks in between to work. So like if I didn't have things to eat, whatever, I feel like I would have thought about it differently, but I was like, I'm good. Like I can pass on this, even though they look delicious and I love donuts. But yeah, the bagel thing was like a little bit more of a challenge, because I did feel like I told myself in my head, like, you're just weak. Like, why can't you just like say no
Decline.
to these things and just move on? Because like in my initial thought was like, no, I'm not having it. And then I start to bargain with myself. And that's where like you talk about all the time, whether it's with getting up for exercise or a routine or whatever it is, it's like, there's no bargaining, there's no thinking. And that's where I get really led astray by my own mind, is because like, I'm a really good bargainer. Like I'll skip a workout because I bargained with myself and talked myself out of it in my head. And so like, that's where I think the guilt comes in, is like you allowed yourself to like fall victim to your inner dialogue, and then now you're doing something that you don't want to do. And a lot of the time, like I'll have like, it's not often, but like if somebody brings in a donut or like cinnamon rolls or something, like I'll have one and then I will feel so guilty because it's already done. You know what I mean? But it's like those like cravings just like get the best of you.
I have so many thoughts. Oh my goodness. And I know there's probably some people listening that are like triggered, but like, let's have these triggering conversations. Like, let's normalize this food noise, and like just to define it at the top, because I feel like we're going to be talking about it a lot. So I think it was a term actually coined by Bethany Frankel, or so she says, self-proclaimed, but I actually do think she put it in her book years ago, and now it's like a common term. So instead of me fudging, I'm just going to read the definition that comes up first when you Google it. So it refers to persistent, intrusive, and often unwanted thoughts about food, what, when, and how much to eat that make it difficult to focus or feel satisfied. But the point that jumps out to me is the what, when, and how much to eat. So like, for example, maybe you're making yourself an afternoon snack and you're going to have like rice cakes and peanut butter and banana. And you're like, I actually really could eat 2, but I really should just eat 1. And the girl that I just looked at on TikTok and was watching her what I eat in a day, she only had 1. So I should probably only have 1, even though my body's telling me I need 2. Or if you had pasta for dinner the night prior, you wake up and you are getting your breakfast together and you have your eggs and you usually have it alongside a piece of toast, and you're like, yeah, but I did have that pasta for dinner the night prior, so I actually shouldn't have that. Like, you're always, it's that bargaining that you talked about, and that over analytical mindset around food, and then emotions being attached to it. And so kind of how you just walked us through like your feelings and emotions as your thoughts kind of like ebbed and flowed throughout that experience, you do hear a lot of like that guilt or shame, but like also that desire. And you mentioned like, I really preach about not bargaining with yourself. However, for me, that actually does not apply to food. Like I feel like when it comes to habits and routines and getting out of bed in the morning when my alarm goes off, or following through at that Pilates class that I'm scheduled for, those are all things that I feel like are non-negotiables for me, because I know that they always like make me feel good. And it's just part of like the consistency that I really want to lead in my life. However, with food, I actually have way more of a flexible approach. And I would actually encourage people to bargain with themselves, because that's part of being human. That's part of, especially being a female with cravings. And I remember the days I was in high school and I had a black or white mindset, just like you're explaining. And I remember literally like bagels would be brought in, and I was a distance runner. So I should be the one eating the bagels. I needed the carbs for my 8-mile run after school. And I remember my teacher, she was this nun, God bless her. She was like, Karli won't eat that. Look at her. You think she eats bagels? But she knows that like anytime food would ever come into the classroom, I would decline, because I had already had my little like piece of toast with peanut butter that probably wasn't enough. Like I was eating, but I wasn't eating enough. And then another time somebody brought like Nutella in, and somebody was like, oh my God, this is so good. And I was like, that's like fat on a stick, because they were like using a stick to like smear it on something. Like, how dare I? But like, I crawl out of my skin thinking about that comment. But I even, I was 15, 16 at the time, and food noise was still super prevalent. And so while this conversation is like triggering, it's something that everybody goes through. And you even said like you have the thoughts. Sometimes it's an active choice to go against the thoughts, but that doesn't mean that that feeling of like shame or guilt like doesn't still accompany it afterwards, you know?
Yeah. So like when you're talking about kind of not bargaining with yourself, I feel like from an outsider's perspective, it seems like a lot of that is because of the relationship that you did have with food. And that's like kind of a mechanism that you have designed that like that's one of the things that you're non-negotiable about. But where I'm coming from, I feel like a lot of my relationship with food has to do with how I ate growing up, and like the habits that I have established that I want to get rid of as an adult in my active mind. But I have these cravings and these just like habits of like how I used to eat. And so I'm trying to change my habits. And so therefore that's where it comes in to be like, no, like I'm going to have these thoughts, but I need to like, there's no negotiation, because it's not like I'm not restricting my eating or restricting the amount that I'm eating. It's like, I want to put nourishing food into my body. I don't want to put things that I don't need into my body. Does that mean I can't have a piece of cake for my dad's birthday or a donut on Easter? No, but it's just like those like setting boundaries. And I think that in my case, like I think that boundaries for me are healthy, because it's not like, no, I can't eat this or I can't have 2 of this. It's more of like what I'm eating. Does that make sense?
So for context for me and for those listening, can you be a little bit more specific in terms of what you mean when you say how you grew up? And like alongside of that, like, were you aware with your relationship with like food and your body during that time, or is that something now you're looking back on and like reflecting upon?
Yeah, I mean, I think like just like any kid, like you grow up eating a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar, candy, soda, whatever it may be. I feel like my household especially, like we ate a lot of junk, like tasty cakes in the house, cereal for breakfast, like ice cream with dinner every night.
Classic
and, like,
American diet, baby.
Yeah, like, which is fine. But I just like now that and like another thing is like before we would go somewhere like relatively far, whether it was like to the ice hockey rink or down the shore or on a trip, like we would stop at Wawa and get candy for the road. So like every time I get on a flight, like I just want fucking candy to eat on the flight. Like, so, and I'm not hungry, but I just want something. Like, I just want something to eat.
It's like ritual. It's why people get out of bed for their morning coffee. Like, they are programmed to shuffle their feet to the coffee maker because like their brain is like dependent on it.
This is what I want. Yeah. So as I get older, I'm like, these habits are not serving me anymore. This is not like how I want to eat, how I want to like fuel my body. And so, wait, where was I going with this sentence?
I guess you're talking about like
you were just asking
the way that
about,
you
like,
reflect. And then I said, like, were you aware of your relationship with food back then? Or is that something you've only like kind of realized in your adulthood that they're still persisting and that's something you want to change? And that's like this recent,
so
new habits you want to form.
It was never like a relationship with food. It was more so like I've created this problem with my relationship with food. Does that make sense? Because I want to change my habits. So like deciding to like step out of like what my body wants and what I'm used to doing, that is creating this push and pull where I'm like, this is what I'm craving. This is what I like my brain wants, but like, or my body wants, I guess. But like, I need to choose to make better food decisions.
It's so
from a place of nourishing my body and not from a place of trying to cut calories or have disordered habits. Does that make sense?
You want to make that active choice for your body out of love instead of out of fear of this food or sugar. And even just hearing you talk, it's so hard because I see these things in two lenses. One is biology and like how our bodies are wired when we do intake a lot of sugar. The modern American diet, we do eat way more high processed foods and sugar than is probably required for our body, and definitely more than our ancestors ate. So when you eat sugar, your body craves more sugar and becomes dependent on it, right? So wanting to break that cycle so that you're not craving candy when you get on a flight, or like there is a mental aspect of it. That's kind of like the hard facts, right? Then I look at it as like the soft aspect of it, of like sometimes we do crave candy and it's okay to give into that. And obviously I can see that you're kind of struggling with that because of your black and white mindset. And I think it requires a little bit of a black and white mindset to break the habit and the addiction to sugar. And then you follow.
But you like can reintroduce with some like give and take. And that's where I feel like I'm at and I've been at for a long time, is like I haven't been able to break it to where I can be like, yeah, I can have like a donut and then that's fine. And I can wake up tomorrow and just go back to my routine. Do you know what I mean? It's very like 100%. I just fall. I'm like, this is so good, and then I crave it more. Like I just haven't gotten there yet.
So that was actually a question I had. Did a part of you think like maybe I'll cut the donut in half and have half of it, and if I want the other half after that half, I'll have it? Like why wasn't that?
I would have it every single time. That's like another like if I had half and being like, oh, maybe I'll have the other half, I would have the other half. Like I absolutely.
What if you kept the other half in
so
the
good.
box?
Oh, I would get it. And if someone ate it already, I'd cut another one in half and eat it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
So it's really interesting for me because I've been on both ends of the spectrum. So I feel like I kind of want to go back a little bit and talk about my relationship with food, especially throughout college, because I think that's where it kind of took like a toxic turn. I mentioned that story when I was in homeroom in high school and how I like really would be restrictive, but I don't think it was necessarily like a problem. It was just like performance based. And I kind of talked a little bit about that in the body image episode, where I didn't think it was problematic because I was like, oh, this is me trying to be the best athlete I can be. I mean, again, looking back, I'm like, so then you would eat the bagel because you needed the carbs
you understand
to perform.
More now. Yeah.
But back in the day, I was like, well, I need to be the tiniest version of myself because then I'll be able to be the fastest version of myself. It was like a 1-for-1 in my mind. Then I got to college and I actually did start to restrict and deprive my body of food. Not only just the bad foods. I was no longer just cutting out the donuts and the bagels and the ice cream, but I was cutting out the protein, the vegetables, like actual substance that my body required. And that was a really slippery slope because I fell into this cycle of restricting all week leading up to a race. Then my race would happen on like a Friday or a Saturday. And then the rest of the weekend, I would eat whatever the fuck I wanted and like fully binge. And I remember like Mondays were always my least favorite day of the week because I would feel so full. My stomach would be distended. My stomach would be in shambles because I had eaten like gluten and all these things that I normally wouldn't eat throughout the week. And I was just so inflamed, and I would have to go on a run, and I would just like feel so uncomfortable in my own body. And it would take until like Wednesday or Thursday for me to feel normal again. But like that was just my thing. Like I would almost try to lose weight throughout the week to like gear up for racing. And then I would just go balls to the wall. And that was my version of balance. Instead, fast forward to today, like my version of balance is like maybe having a cookie in the middle of the day if I want it. Like it's more of like that micro level instead of the macro level.
Yeah.
And like the pendulum just swinging in those extreme ways really created a beast inside of me. Like my body was so confused. It was so confused in terms of how much it was going to get fed, when, and if it was going to get fed. So because of that, I think it held on to a lot of like that, the fat, because it really was kind of like in survival mode and scared that if I ate today, I maybe wouldn't eat for like the next 3 days, you know?
Yeah. Did you ever have regret like on that Monday through Wednesday when you were like trying to run and you felt awful? Did you ever have regret for like the weekend prior, but then you would just do it all again?
Yeah, every single time. And I would like, I remember standing in front of my pantry. It was always better when I came home for the weekend. Like sometimes I would go home with my parents after races because obviously I was living at school. And I didn't really keep that much junk in the house. But my parents would have like a fully stocked cabinet because obviously Reagan was still at home, and the nephews weren't around at the time, but like Reagan was, you know, she loves her Oreos. And so I remember just standing there like funneling food into my mouth to an uncomfortable point. And even in the moment, I knew what I was doing. I had instant shame, but it didn't stop me because I would like black out. Like it's like a classic binge episode. Like you don't even really know what you're doing. It's like an out of body experience, but it's like that instant gratification of your body, like also probably just trying to funnel food into your mouth because again, it feels like this is its one and only shot.
Yeah.
And I think it was even exacerbated on the next day because I did have to go do physical exercise. And so it was so clear to me that my stomach hurt and I felt heavy and I was just off. So yeah, like it was just something that I was very aware of, but it felt so out of my realm of control.
How long did you do that for? Because you ran in college for 4 years. Right?
Yeah, I would say that persisted mostly all 4 years. Definitely the worst freshman and sophomore year. Freshman year, I definitely overate in general. Like I definitely gained the freshman 15, living away from home, eating at the dining halls. And then sophomore year, I had just gone through like a breakup and I was really trying to focus on running and like being the best version of myself, quote unquote, whatever that meant. Yeah. So I lost a bunch of weight. That was probably the peak of my eating disorder. And then junior and senior year, I kind of started to take running a little bit less seriously. And I definitely still was engaging in like the unhealthy habits, but it was more of like just a kind of hit a plateau, you know? But I was still very conscious about my weight and what I ate. And that persisted all the way until my adulthood, honestly. And even though I wasn't a competitive runner anymore, I still felt myself like always having those internal thoughts around food and always trying to, you know, have control and white knuckle that control through food.
Yeah. I'm curious about like the running community. Like I can imagine that like trying to be the smallest version of yourself is very prominent in that community. Like were there other people that were talking about food in a way that like might signal that they also had disordered habits?
Yeah, I would say sometimes it was verbal, but a lot of times it was like more of those subliminal actions that you like pick up on, especially when people are doing really well. You start to look at what's on their plate. And so we would be, you know, gearing up for nationals, and I would be looking at the 7 girls that were going to nationals that year and be like, what's the common denominator here? And I'd start to look at their habits and what they were putting on their plate in the dining hall, and then I would try to emulate that. And I do specifically remember like a handful of girls who had like a really great relationship with food. my friend Carol being one of them. I do think she had an amazing metabolism. And so that definitely helped. But she always was eating, and she would have the ice cream, and she never worried. And I always felt so envious because I wanted that more than anything. But also I looked at the running community, and it was so hard to come by because it was so normalized. I think it's better today. I think there's been a lot more awareness brought to this, especially within the running world. But I also look back and I just want to hug myself and be like, if you had only fueled your body, you could have been so much better. Like,
like you
were a fraction. I was a fraction of the athlete I could have been simply because I was choosing like aesthetics, and it
just sounds like you didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like biologically and hormonally and all the things, like you have this idea in your head as a teenage female, and it's just eating less. It's not like, and I honestly don't think that we're really taught that food fuels our body.
Yeah.
And that like we need certain things. It's always just like carbs are bad, vegetables are good, eat your leafy greens. Like I just think it's like misconstrued, and I don't think a lot of people truly understand it, that like you can't just eat less. It's like your body just like nutritionally isn't going to get what it needs if you're not giving it like a variety and like all of the different macros, you know.
100%. Yeah, sometimes it is like a lack of education, but then also I think in my case I was educated, but for some reason didn't apply to me. I was like, I can tell other people how to fuel, but when it came to me, I was like blinded.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was blinded by. I guess like, again, that deep desire for like the aesthetic body or that sense of control or whatever it is. But I could not apply what I knew to myself. And I think a lot of people can identify with that, of like knowing kind of the right and the wrong way to like fuel their body, but also being so fearful that if they do fuel appropriately and give their body what it needs, that will result in weight gain. But it is so interesting because I see people's like what I eat in a day's on TikTok, and it's clearly not enough food. And I always want to be like, you're damaging your metabolism so much. Like I see these girls who are stick thin talk about how their hair is falling out and their nails are brittle and their skin sucks. And I'm like,
no idea why.
Sis, it's because like you're eating 1,000 calories a day. But and like I've been there. Yeah. That's why I feel so
like
passionate.
Without judgment, it's just
them.
like I just want to like help you.
Yeah. And like your metabolism down regulates. So if you're eating 1,000 calories today, if you do decide one day you want to eat like a normal human being and up your calorie intake to 2,100, 2,200, whatever it is for your specific needs, like your body's going to be shell shocked. Like it's going to, what do I do with all this food? Yeah. So like, you have to eat more to be able to eat more long term. And that's kind of the conclusion I came to with like kind of just bringing it full circle. I was dumbfounded at why my hormones were so out of whack, why my thyroid function was so low, why I had estrogen in a post-menopausal range. And I had to just look myself in the mirror finally and be like, Karli, what you know to be true, you have to apply to yourself. Yeah. And you have to eat enough to sustain your body, because if you're not eating enough, the basic function of your body of breathing and getting out of bed in the morning, like that's where all the energy is going to go. So everything else is going to shut off, like your digestion or your hormones, because having a baby is a luxury. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. And I just got to a point in my life where I'm like, I'm too old to be doing this. Like, truthfully, like I need to outgrow this disordered way of thinking and just do the right thing for my body. And so like slowly incorporated more and more food. And when that happened, my hunger cues started to come back because they had been silenced since I wasn't feeding my body when it was sending me them historically. So just stop sending them all together.
So it's like, well, we're wasting our time.
Right. It's like, I'm not knocking on the door anymore. Like she's not coming. So it was a process and it was scary because I remember when I started eating more and introducing different foods into my diet, I felt like I was going to gain weight. And I'll never forget, I went to the Rittenhouse Farmers Market one Saturday. And it was literally the first day that I decided, fuck it, I'm going all in. I am just going to do whatever it takes to get my cycle back and heal my relationship with food. And I went to one of the stands at the farmer's market and got like a little slice of banana bread, walnut banana bread to be specific. And I sat on the bench and I ate it. And I was like, this is living. I sent a picture to my mom and like told her, she's like, I'm so proud of you, because she knows that I've been battling with it for a while. So I just want to say it wasn't easy and it was a process. But now I feel like I really do have that food freedom, and I've kind of like broken from those shackles.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you for that. And it sounded like you had to kind of hit a point where, like, a breaking point to be able to look yourself in the mirror. And I think, you know, sometimes it's like you can have all the information, but it's just having the courage to actually like ask yourself the hard questions. And that applies to anything. Like, you can be the best at relationship advice, but like you're in the worst relationship. Like, it's just hard to look ourselves in the mirror, like in any aspect of life. And I think we talk about all the time, and especially in like our college keynote, like asking yourself the hard questions, it's like a muscle that you have to flex, and like it just gets easier, and it's only going to serve you well, you know?
Yes. And we can know the answer, but the path to get to that answer, or to find that solution and get on the other side, scares the hell out of us. So it prevents us from ever starting. And that's like true across the board. And that's exactly what I was just talking to with, like, I know what it takes to heal my hormones. I wasn't willing for a really long freaking time to go on that journey and risk gaining weight for a little while until my body found its natural set point. And so I just kicked the can down the road until one day it was like, there actually is no other option, because you've been without a cycle for 8 years now.
Like this anymore.
Yeah, you can't claim that all you want to be in life is a mother and then not feed yourself, and you're not even getting a cycle, so you can't even be a mom like when the day comes.
It's like that tough love with yourself. I think it's what it sounds like.
100%. Yeah. But it's definitely easier said than done.
So do you still have like those intrusive thoughts today, or do you feel like you've been able to like get rid of them?
I definitely do have them. That's the thing. That's the tricky thing about struggling with food or exercise. I think people have this like misnomer that one day you wake up and you're just like, you know, they're gone. You're like, yes, I beat them. Like, they're nowhere to be, nowhere to be found. They will always exist. But like you said in the beginning of this podcast, it's an active choice every single day to not listen. I also think for me, I found a way of eating that I really enjoy. Like, I've kind of kicked the cravings aspect that we were talking about. Like, I'm now on the other side, that I'm not addicted to sugar. And so like, if I want a sweet treat, yes, sometimes I'm having like pieces of chocolate, but it's like never in excess. But a lot of times, like cocoa June mixed with maca powder with cacao nibs, like that's so good to me. Like, or fruit, like nature's candy, like that is sweet to me. And so I do feel like I had to go through like a little bit of like an investment period, but I think I'm just at this place now where I don't know. It's hard because I'm so intuitive with it. I'm so intuitive. Like, even at Easter last Sunday, like I had a piece of ice cream cake and a half a cannoli, and like I did feel a little bit guilty after, but it was like, no, that was an active choice to do it because it's a holiday and because you genuinely wanted it. Yes, you probably ate too much dessert, but that doesn't mean that you're going to continue to fall off track. I think that's the main difference. I know when to indulge, and I now know when to stop, whereas previously that was a skill that I did not have. And I feel like that's a journey that you're probably having to go on now, is finding that line between letting yourself have a little, but not in excess or too much, because sometimes a little bit it's good for you, right? Too much of it, then it becomes bad.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, having that confidence in yourself to know that like you can have this, and then again tomorrow you might say no or whatever it is. And so I just think, and like sometimes like dessert, that's the thing, like right now I would have dessert every single time it's presented to me. And like, not to say that that's a bad thing, that's just like not aligning with what I want to do in my life, right? And so I think like sometimes when I do have dessert, like, and I just like don't allow myself to like have the negotiations, I am like feeling so immensely guilty that like I didn't even have a choice over that. Like, I just did it. Like, it was just an impulse. And I'm like, oh my God, like I just didn't even, there wasn't a bargaining, there wasn't anything. It was just like, I'm doing this. And it surprises me sometimes. And I hate that feeling that I'm like, I just felt like out of control. You know what I mean?
Are there any factors around you that dictate or like influence how you feel. So for example, if like nobody else at the table is having dessert, like do you feel more guilty for opting in, or is that like you're more inclined to decline?
Because I'm so self-conscious about my decision and not sure of it myself that like I'm not going to be the one to do that. Mm-hmm. But like if everyone else is having it, then like that's like then I will. Like even the other night, Aunt and I went out to dinner and they were like, do you want a dessert menu? And I wanted dessert so bad. And he was like, I'm good. Do you want anything? And I was like, no, I'm good. And I was like, if you would have gotten something and shared it with me, I would have eaten it. But that's not how it's not how I should live my life. You know what I mean? But I am grateful. Like I truly am grateful for those times that happen because I'm like, I would have gotten dessert. I wouldn't have had the self-control. But since I didn't want to be the only one, that, do you know what I mean? It's so tricky, and it's like really it shouldn't be that deep, but like if you actually think about the amount of time that I think about like what I'm gonna eat or if I should eat it, like it's ridiculous. And it's just like cyclical thoughts of like should I not, well if I do this then this, and like I never like punish myself for it, but it's like physically like okay, well then I can't eat the rest of the day. But it's like that's where I think it's like it's not my relationship with food per se. It's like the relationship with my mind. Like I'm never going to say like you can't eat for the rest of the day because you had that donut. I am going to make myself feel bad about it.
So it's almost like a conundrum to me because I want to tell you, it sounds like sometimes, and I want to tell you as an opposite of a professional, let me just say, but just as somebody that's like as a listening to this conversation, for a second there, you kind of were making it seem like it was a choice you were making on autopilot. Like every time dessert is presented to you, you're going to take it. But then I'm hearing like you want it every time. So
no, I want it every time. But sometimes I just opt in. There is no, I'm going to make this active choice. It feels like out of my control. Like sometimes, and I think it's when I'm like in moments of like weakness per se. Like if I'm having a bad day or I'm emotionally drained or whatever, I don't have that capacity to actively fight that like urge. Yeah. So then I just do it. And then I'm like, well, you just fucking like didn't even think twice about it. You don't care. Like,
do you feel like you are turning to food as like comfort or like a boost of happiness or serotonin, something to look forward to? Okay. So it's not even like you could replace it with something else, like seeking out.
I definitely like, it's really just when it's presented to me. Like I would be completely fine if like no one brought in donuts or there wasn't dessert served. Like I would be fine, but it's just when the opportunity presents itself. And I'm like not only with dessert, but like different things. Like now we're living with my in-laws and there's just like junk everywhere. Like cookies and like candy and whatever, and like previously we never had it in our house, so it's like easy to like say no to, but it's just like I don't know, when it's presented it's hard to say no.
Which I was gonna say, is it so bad to indulge when it's presented? I mean, before you said it's in the house all the time and maybe it's like not making you feel good, but like just asking the challenging question of like what is wrong with the way that you're eating now. But what I'm actually hearing is it feels like it's a little bit deeper of like you just want to establish a little bit more like trust with yourself and a little bit more discipline. And it really might not have to do anything with the food. It's just you want to know that you're in control and can decline or opt for something maybe quote unquote more healthy, like a piece of fruit for dessert or a couple pieces of dark chocolate and tea, because I know you love your tea. Like it sounds like you're just somebody that kind of wants to maintain a little bit more boundaries and be able to just make decisions that you want to make instead of feeling like you are just making a decision by default, always opting in. So in terms of where you're at now and how you kind of want to proceed, like, do you have any guardrails or like plans in place? Like, would you ever work with a nutritionist, or are you looking for like healthy swaps? Like right now, I think you're in the thick of it and a lot of people can really resonate with that and empathize. So I'm just curious like where your headspace is at and if you have a plan of action.
I haven't really thought about it because I feel like I have a really good baseline diet. So like I meal prep a lot and I have like things that I eat like all the time, and like it's like at work, for example, like I have too much food that I eat at work. Like I'm eating all the time. And it's not like, you know, no carbs. Like I have things here and there, and like so I guess what I'm trying to say is like I feel like I would be fine if I was never able to see dessert again, or like a bagel again, or a like sweet treat. Does that make sense? So like it's just those opportunities where it's like there's dessert there.
Yeah,
or
when it finds you.
Yes, it's like, and don't get me wrong, I definitely have a sweet tooth, but like I've found alternatives, like whether it's like a mango pop, like ice pop for dessert or whatever it is, or like yogurt, or like a protein shake, like that's sweet with like vanilla protein. Like I have found alternatives to like kind of curb my sweet tooth, but it's just when those opportunities are presented, I don't like love the way that I handle them. And or like if we go to Dunkin' Donuts and I see and smell the donuts, like I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so difficult, and I feel like some people listening are going to be like, "Yes, I get this," and other people are going to be like, "I hate this," and like, it's just because we're just two girls with absolutely like no credentials, just being honest about navigating
like this is
food noise, and like we have a little bit of different perspectives, and we're at different stages, and I think like you're navigating all of this in real time, right? So you're really trying to think about, what is the motivation? What's the key driver that is making you want to implement this change? Is it about food? Is it about wanting to be more disciplined? But all in all, I think like as a blanket statement, it's okay to want to better yourself, and it's okay to want to establish more discipline around food if you feel like you're lacking. It's okay to want to eat. I think in this day and age, we have to be so careful about what we say, and we're like in this culture where everyone's like, fuck diet culture, and like eat the donut, and like, yes, sure, if that serves you. But I find myself even right now trying to toe the line, being like, oh, don't trigger anyone. But like, it's okay if you just a rose want to better yourself in the way that it means to you, which is to eat less sugar, because that has been something historically you've been addicted to since childhood. And you're noticing that it's kind of compromising, maybe not your quality of life, but the relationship that you have with yourself. And if that's a journey that you want to go on, your journey tomorrow might look different than your journey in a year. And in a year from now, maybe you will eat half that donut and then leave the rest untouched. But right now, I think you need to tighten the reins to allow yourself to then loosen them later on. And I think that's okay.
And I like, you're so right. And what you're saying, like there will be people that disagree and think that like I should eat the donut when I'm craving it and things like that. But like, I do think that there's a certain point where it's like there are things that like are just factually healthy for our body. And like all of the sugar and all of these processed foods, like while they're normal, they're not good for our body and they're not healthy. And
our brain.
Yeah. And like I am so for like screw the diet culture and whatever, but it's also can be very healthy to diet and to do things like with a healthy intention, and like you said, to better ourselves, where it doesn't have to be disordered, or it doesn't have to be this. Like the one summer I like went without eating any added sugar. Like that was just what I wanted to do, and like that's okay. I don't know, like it's the same thing. Like, I don't know.
Maybe it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be called a diet. It's like it's
like
just
you can
the
just
way
be like, I want to like cut my carbs because like I don't like the way that they make me feel, or I don't want to eat like a lot of this food because that's not what I believe. Like it's
now
matter.
Me, the triggered not nutritionist, being like, well, we never want to cut the carbs. Maybe we want to opt out of processed sugar.
Meaning cut down on them. Like we don't need a bagel for breakfast with pasta with this and whatever. But like if you're eating enough of it and you just want to eat less, then like before I used, like when I was younger, I would not eat any protein. Like I would eat donut for breakfast and like I don't even know what for, like maybe an Uncrustable for lunch. Like I just was like a carb fiend.
See,
which like I
yeah,
think kids are.
they are.
But what I have to say is coming from someone that's 27 and, you know, ate whatever I want growing up because you're a kid. I think people have this idea that kids can eat whatever they want because their metabolism is so fast. Fine. But what I want people to understand is that it's not only just about what they're eating, it's about creating healthy habits and creating the mindset of like, I want to choose this because I want to choose to fuel my body. Or if I'm going to eat, you know, ice cream for dessert, I need to make sure that I like fuel my body in other ways before that. And like having that dialogue of like, eating isn't just eating whatever you want. Like eating the right things like helps you and gets you like stronger and bigger, and like just having a healthier relationship with food and not just being like, they're a kid, they can eat whatever they want. They can have dino nuggets for dinner and pizza for lunch and cereal for breakfast. And it's like, yeah, while they can, and they're still going to be tiny because they're a kid and their metabolism and they're running around. It's like now I'm trying to like undo those habits that I had growing up, because that's when all of our formable habits are like come into play.
Yeah. And
it's
like
so not that like my parents did anything wrong, but like I just am feeling on the other side of it. And I've heard a lot of people say like, they're a kid, they can eat whatever they want. And I'm like, yes, they can, but like I'm like struggling with this so much right now.
Yeah.
You know?
And the habit formation is one thing, but then also like seeing the way that the sugar spikes and dips like impact children's behavior and their development, like that's a whole other thing. And then not just children, but like I see the way that gluten affects my brain and my mood, and like I really become more anxious and, you know, down when I do eat a lot of like sweets. Like it's a direct correlation, and I've been able to clock it every time. So like yeah, it is multifaceted, but I do love that message. Like it's not about the food itself, it's about formation of healthy habits. The
relationship and the habits, and just understanding the purpose of food. And it's not just for enjoyment, it's also for fueling our body.
I love that. I think that's a really great way to end. I feel like we went on a journey, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. We talked a lot of things out. And
as per usual, I just said what was on my mind, and I'm like, help me through it.
Well, that's literally what this is for. And we don't have a solution, right? Like there's a lot of things that are still in question, and we don't have the answers for, because there just simply are not answers. And everybody's relationship with food is so individual. But I think that's a journey I'll continue to go on, and I'll always be on. It's literally perpetual. So I must say, I'm confused about your only human moment in this note. Silent hair appointment. Care to expand upon that?
You wrote like a whole like sentence, like I was going to have to present it for you. Just so that you wouldn't forget, I guess.
I mean, if you insist, you can take it.
I came up with this at 9:55 because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have an only human moment. I was like, I need to figure it out right now. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but I got my hair done the other day.
Looks beautiful.
Thanks. I was waiting for that compliment. No, okay. I got my highlights last week, and it's like a 3-hour appointment. I have a lot of hair.
And not a lot of energy. You have a lot of hair. Is that where this is going? I have a lot of hair and not a lot of social battery.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so like that day, it was 2 days in a row. I showered at like 3:00. And after my shower, my body was like, okay, great. It must be time for us to go to bed, because I usually shower like at nighttime. And I was like, I couldn't even keep my eyes open. Like my Aura Ring thought I took a nap in the chair. So basically I just was dead silent my entire hair appointment, 3 hours, except for like a little small talk in the beginning. Then I was just like literally like, and I had my eyes closed the entire time, and I did not even try to strike up any conversation. I was a mute.
Honestly, your hairdresser probably really appreciated that. She probably talks
honestly,
all day.
That's what I think. I truly I'm providing a service to you. You do not have to entertain me. You don't have to listen to my problems. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like the fill the silence kind of gal, you know? Like I will just sit in silence for 3 hours, and like you do your thing. I'm going to close my eyes and we're good.
I love that about us because I think we're very similar in that way. Like if there's nothing to say, there's nothing to say. Like even the first time you visited me in Charleston, it was like the first time we actually spent a lot of time together, and we were friends. We had decided to go on this only human journey, but like we really didn't know each other. And I remember driving to the beach the one day and like we were just silent. We are just like taking in like, I mean, it wasn't for long. Maybe it was like a couple minutes, if that, but like it just felt so like comfortable. No, yeah, but it's like an energy that people give off when you're like comfortable with silence. I think it's like a quiet confidence. Like I like silence. Like, but yeah, I agree with that. Like normalize silent hair appointments.
So I only like know of that term because people are actually like opting in. Like it's a now thing that you can say like, can I have a silent appointment today? Yeah, like it's, oh, you can ask for a silent Uber.
I think you can note like, or maybe that's just the energy you give off. Don't fuck with me. Don't ask me a question. No, I think it might be an option that you can like toggle on or off, like if you would like to interact or not. I haven't gone as far to do that, but maybe I will.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear your only human moment.
Okay. I'll keep this short. I just had a very anxious Thursday. Like for some reason, I know exactly what the reason was. I was part of a workshop on Wednesday for a client. And then Thursday we had to like get a synthesis deck turned around. The specific task at hand is just not in my wheelhouse. And I still battle with a lot of imposter syndrome around consulting. I've been in the industry for 2.5 years, almost the same amount of time I've been in finance prior to quitting my job in 2022. But for some reason, I just don't identify as a consultant. And this is like one of the most like foundational skills that a consultant should have. It's like synthesis, storytelling, deck building. But for some reason, the work that I've done thus far in my career, I haven't had to do a lot of that. Like I've done a lot of like interview work, assessment, in-person workshops, like crafting the agenda for those. Very specific, like nuanced tasks. And so for some reason, this just like really prompted me to have a lot of anxiety. And I just felt very like pressed for time because we needed to turn it around quickly. I felt like I was just not capable. And I don't know, I just had like this impending doom and this like feeling on my shoulders and in my chest. And it even clouded the way that I was able to think. Like I wasn't able to think straight because I was feeling all of this pressure. And I guess it is all boiling down to performance pressure, right? Like I have performance anxiety. I've always said that. And I think it manifested on this particular day. And I was able to get through it. But like there was a few hours there where my head was actually physically spinning because I was so anxious.
Yeah. No, yeah, we were texting and you were using me as your escape a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, please
escape from reality.
I need to hear your voice because I'm like actually going off the deep end right now.
But I was really proud of you because we did talk on Thursday night. I was really proud of the way that your day ended. Like you were able to kind of just like, from what I can gather, drop it and just like kind of move on. And you were like smiling and happy after on Thursday night. So when we talked, so I was like, wow. I was like gonna say to you, I was like, wow, did you ever think that you would end your night like this way when we were talking earlier?
Yeah,
in the day, because you were just very much in a tizzy. And like, so I'm glad that you were able to kind of turn it around and close the book.
The soundtrack of my life is I need to be reminded it's not that serious. And like people need to constantly
I was like, Karli, like nothing in this world is worth like feeling like that over. And that doesn't make it like you're not gonna be like, honestly, you're right, I didn't think of that, like, and just switch it off. But like it's a good reminder, and I have to remind myself all the time, like it's not that serious.
Yeah, I definitely am somebody that takes every single task and makes it the most important task I'll ever do in my life. And that is something that I can't do every time because it's not sustainable. So I appreciate that. You always know exactly what I need to hear in the moment. And seriously, like, even though I've only known you for like a year and a couple months at this point, like, you know me like the back of your hand. And I appreciate you always, but especially in those moments.
Yeah, it's so funny. Every time you say that, you're like, you always know what I need to hear. Or like, you always, I'm like,
say the right things.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like you're giving me too much credit here. I feel like you're just like, you just are just saying that. Like, I'm like, not that you're like, you don't feel that way, but I'm just like,
you fraud ass.
You like, has no one ever like comforted you before? Like, I'm not saying anything special here. So, I mean, no. I think you give me too much credit.
All right, fine. Be that way. You're not that special.
No credit. No credit anymore.
No, it really is. Like you just say the right things. People have come for me before, but all right. Well, I have a baby shower to jet off to, and I have about 15 minutes to leave the house. So I'm gonna change out of my little crop top here that you can't even see. But
you're not wearing that to the baby shower?
Nah, I don't think so. I look like a baby in this top. I'm wearing a half a shirt.
I'm you can even call that a shirt.
Baby. I know. I got this in Australia at this little flea market. It is. It's like cut up here.
Yeah, no,
it's
love
just
that.
so
It looks
comfy.
like a workout set.
It's like a almost like a sweater material though. Like it's kind of thick, so I don't know if I would like it. It would. Yeah. I don't know. But okay. Nonetheless, thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you next week.